coffee. Coffee is expensive. What's the new Starbucks CEO going to do? um, why is coffee expensive, Daniel?
Well, first of all, something that the Starbucks CEO did that I love is I believe they're no longer charging for alternative milks, which I always thought was ridiculous anyway.
Right? Like,
They
seriously.
I was like, why am I paying a whole $1 more for milk that is maybe 10 cents more? I was like,
Not
this
even.
is absurd.
Not even, because you don't have to feed the cow to make the milk.
Mhm.
You just ground
Well, no,
up
but
the
like
nut.
when you literally buy almond milk, it's like half the size for double the price, right? But I'm like,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you're getting it in such bulk that it like that cost shouldn't come to me as a whole $1 per cup.
Yeah, it should definitely be half, or
It's
if
because
not,
it's harder to milk an almond than it is to milk a cow.
I have so many jokes about this that I'm not
Meet
going
the
to say.
Parkers.
So I'll go to my notes. Okay, so
This guy, no one's here named Greg.
I will get
arbitrage.
fired.
That's arbitrage after dark, not after dark.
Yikes.
Paid subscriptions only.
Get after the bell after dark. Let's go.
That's right. I had a few things to say about that, though. It was weather related in Brazil because I did a little research too after you said that, which I'm trying to transition to tea anyway. But Brazil, there was a Brazil
Didn't
drought.
we leave the Britain because of tea, and now you want to go back to it?
There you go. We'll have a party.
I'm sure you want to pay more taxes too, huh?
We'll have a party in the Bay. Brazil's drought is and they supply a third of the Arabica supply to the world. There's been typhoons and rainfall in Vietnam, and they're the top producer of Robusta. And the Brazilian real, is that how you say it? Real? That's what you call their currency?
Mm-hmm.
High volatility and inflation in Brazil, all of those are adding to the cost right now of coffee. So again, we'll see what kind of marketing Starbucks does in spite of the inflation that's going on with coffee. So that was a nice change from the other things we were talking about. Anything you want to add to that, Royce, just as far as currency, how that affects?
I'm going to try to believe. I'm going to try to believe that supply and demand, that they never store anything ever, and we're going to let a single drought, or a single hurricane deplete all of our supply, so that way we can raise our prices. I'm going to believe that. That's what I'm believing right now.
Don't stop.
Like there's two like major point. Like I'm kind of a coffee enthusiast, so I kind of dove into this one a little bit more than maybe what seems topical. But there's two kind of major points to this one. One being that it's crazy that all of the deforestation that they've done in the Amazon and in Vietnam and in all of these subtropical climates has somehow led to climate change that caused a drought, that caused all of these coffee beans to not grow correctly, and all of the the larger Arabica beans and the smaller Robusto beans. And some they're realizing that, this deforestation is actually impacting coffee plants, and it's actually impacting their GDP. And you can look at a lot of those presidents and world leaders that are now kind of backtracking a little bit on this and actually slowing down, because they're realizing that what they're doing is actually hurting. And it has stagnated coffee growth, and it is going to, that drought, both areas had droughts for months and months and months. And then finally, when October rolled around, they had monsoons and typhoons and all of these various weather events so it will eventually catch up, but it's not being grown during the peak seasons. So yeah, it's going to hurt supply. The second thing is to kind of piggyback off of Royce's point that yes, the supply, they don't, these beans have to go through an aging process, and then they have to go through, and then they get distributed into these individual roasteries, and then they get roasted. And that's what you're seeing. Like if you look at the date on a coffee bag, it's the roasting date. It's not when were these freaking coffee beans grown. Yeah. I mean, yes, that comes into play in some, but most of these like Starbucks, Nestle, like all of these major wholesalers and distributors of these coffee beans buy 6 months to a year in advance. This will not even remotely impact anything until in this time 2025. But then you look at guys like Nestle and they're like, oh no, we're gonna, get up, we're gonna this catchy headline, and it's, oh my gosh, we're gonna go ahead and raise prices in anticipation of something that's not gonna happen for another year, and just to line their own pockets.
Not to mention the fact that we have a blonde rose. What'd you do? We just ran it through the water again. Oh look, we have we've done this before. In dark roast, blonde roast, you reuse the beans.
Yep.
So if
Is
I
that
could
why
summarize,
Starbucks tastes so bad?
Pretty much.
I mean, well, Starbucks does use some of the better beans in the world. Like, they are pretty selective, and they only use like the top 10%, which is why it's mostly like Arabica with a little bit of the Robusto beans, which are considered inferior because they're smaller and they're not as mature. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this is not going to be an issue. It's just, this is a catchy headline for right now for a problem that really shouldn't even be popping up for another year or so. And it's messing with futures, and everybody's panicking over it. It's just it's a buzzworthy headline right now.
So do you mean it'll not be an issue in the sense that, coffee supply will not be an issue, or that it will not cause a rise in prices? Because I would disagree with you that I think it'll absolutely cause a rise in prices.
It 100% will, but it's not right now.
Because of the hype.
It's not like the Nestle jumping the gun and raising prices like next month for a problem that will not impact the coffee supply until end of 2025, because I guarantee you they've got storage enough that they're distributing all of their beans that have already been purchased for the next year, 6 months to a year. But they're going to go ahead and raise prices.
So and then they can raise them again because it's a real crisis at that point.
Starbucks is in a position where they're kind of in a turnaround, right? So I don't see why they wouldn't raise prices as well. So regardless of the actual price of coffee, this is a great excuse for them to raise prices immediately.
Right.
So regardless of what happens, I do think it affects,
But then they're going to raise prices, and then they're going to have higher quotas to meet, 6 to 12 months of the year. So where is that extra money? Like, what else are they going to raise prices on 12 months from now because they raise prices now?
You know how they don't charge an extra $1 for my almond milk now? That cost is baked in.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Hold on.